everyone, and thank you for joining us for our first ever Here For You special, starting now, a little bonus episode. And we have Sally Aguilar here from Empower. Sally, can you just, tell us a little bit about yourself and then dive into what really is Empower for those who aren't familiar?
My name is Sally. I'm the Commercial Kitchen and Operations Manager at Empower. We are essentially a nonprofit organization that focuses on three things. It's small business support, or workforce development, and financial empowerment. As you all know, we recently moved into our new building in the heart of the North End, and that is actually where we hold our commissary kitchen spaces.
And then for those who maybe aren't in the Wichita region, can you describe a little bit about the North End? There's so much, obviously, history and culture there. Why is it important that Nomar is there in the North End?
So the North End of Wichita is primarily the Hispanic community. That's also our focus. We help a lot of the Hispanic community here on the North End. I personally grew up in that area, so that's why it holds a special place in my heart. I think there was a bit of a lack of resources in that area, so I think that's why it's special that we're right in the center. We have a lot of people that either grew up there and now they're in a position where they need that extra support. Traditionally, how it works is that in a Hispanic household, you normally focus on raising your kids and sending them off, so you don't really work on what you want to grow within yourself, whether it's a business, whether it's getting that extra education. So now that we exist, we're realizing that those families are coming back to get those resources.
So special. And I know back in 2022, actually, our evening anchor, Julia, she was doing Here For You back then, and she got to do a story highlighting Empower, and we're going to take a look at that just to give people a little taste.
Hispanics start small businesses faster than any other diversity group within the United States.
Still, leaders with Empower say resources for the Hispanic community are not as measurable compared to other groups. They're working to reverse that. The Nomar District is a historical area for the Hispanic community. One nonprofit is working to revitalize it through education, workforce readiness, and educational development. Like a cup of coffee, positive change takes time to brew.
Around Nomar especially, we have so many diverse Hispanic businesses there, and if 5-10 years from now we can see more businesses there within this Hispanic district, it would be super exciting to see how that can impact Wichita.
Empower is pouring into small businesses and community members.
We want to see more people starting businesses, more people going to school to obtain post-secondary education, or even just completing a GED, learning resources such as how to buy a home and build that wealth. And so really just looking at all those key metrics where we can just see people thrive and really become successful.
Including Oscar Panetta, who's filtering his dream with a familiar taste.
We sometimes don't have that opportunity or the chance to taste something that we left back in our countries, right? I feel excited every time I'm able to source coffees from different parts of the globe. It can be from Mexico, it can be from Colombia, Salvador.
With the bolder vision of crafting a stronger community.
We're calling all Wichitans to come down and celebrate our small businesses, especially those Hispanic-owned businesses. And so trying new things, new flavors, new sounds, new music, everything. And so we're really trying to just get people to get out of their comfort zone and see something different within Wichita.
Conversations bring solutions and for the better of the humanity and community.
Cultivating these conversations, one cup at a time. Empower has purchased 3 buildings in the Nomar District. They've received a grant to turn one into a community kitchen for small businesses to use, and that project is currently in the works. We have a link to Empower resources and Esperanza Coffee Roasters at ksn.com. So neat to see the work they're doing there, and it'll be really cool to see all of the changes over the next few years.
Yeah, it looks like they're not slowing down anytime soon.
No, they're just getting started.
It's just incredible to see the growth, because that story was two and a half years ago now, and just Empower now recently opened up the new commercial kitchen, the office spaces. Can you dive a little bit more into that? Kind of, what does that all entail?
A lot, actually. So as far as the commissary kitchens go, they're essentially used for business owners that maybe don't have a brick and mortar location, or they don't have a food truck or a space to operate their business. So these kitchens work just for that. A lot of the businesses that we work with normally sell at our pop-up events or in local markets that they have around the city, and that space is designed for them, right? So if you're essentially a business who does catering or you're prepping for those events, you come in, you operate out of this space, use our commercial equipment, and then you go off to your events. But it's nice because, again, with the small business empowerment side, there are people who maybe aren't just there yet, or maybe they have that cooking experience, but they don't know what it takes to get the licenses and get all that process in order. So that's also where we come in. So it's essentially like from beginning to end.
And what was that reaction when you guys opened? I know on that first Friday, we had one of our reporters out there and people were already using the kitchen. When they got to see it, kind of what's that reaction knowing that they have this resource?
I think everyone's reaction is just wow, right? Because when you walk back there, I mean, it's 7 kitchens in that space. Everything's brand new. Again, people are used to operating out of their homes or using standard equipment, but this is top of the line equipment. And I think it's different when you know you can use it. Sometimes what I've heard too is that it almost seems too far-fetched. It doesn't seem real. It looks nice, but it almost seems like, well, how can I see myself there? If anything, it's too much for me. My business isn't there yet. But really, anyone can use it. Whether you're an existing business, whether you just want to try it out, you have access to that equipment. And we also teach you how to use it as well.
And Sally, you mentioned that you actually started with Empower when you were doing your business. Kind of, can you walk us through what is that feeling really like when you're trying to embark on this new adventure and just don't really know how to do so yet?
Well, with my journey, that's actually how I started. I ran across Empower when I was starting my business 4 years ago. I was a year in. I still didn't know a lot. I was learning on good old YouTube. And I ran across the organization. It was perfect timing because that's when I was stepping into the market world, selling at pop-up events. And they had an event coming up. I spoke about my business, used a couple of their workshops just to gain some knowledge on business. And that's really where my journey began. They really gave me the spotlight within my business and the confidence that I needed that I now give to other business owners. And really, that's where my journey began. Again, with the history of growing up on the North End and knowing their mission, my passion grew even more, and I stuck onto them. They used me. I then launched my second business, which is El Gusto, Mexican food truck. And it just really took off from there. So now being on the other end with helping these business owners get there, I think that's why it hits home for me because I went through that whole journey and Empower was such a big part of that. So now being on the opposite end and seeing the growth within these businesses, it just reminds me a lot of myself.
And that's such a unique experience to be able to, you don't just work for Empower, but you know exactly what they're going through. You know, you went through that journey yourself. What kind of difference can even seeing the success stories that come out from Empower, like yourself, do for those who are just getting started? And why is that important to kind of have that representation or role model, essentially?
These resources exist, and they're open and available to anyone. I didn't have the direct resources as far as the commissary kitchen spaces when I started. It would have been nice, right? But when I started with Empower, these things were in the works. I knew about it. I was being told about it. And it seemed so far-fetched. I'm like, geez, 2 years? I'm just now starting. I need those resources now. But I held very closely to Empower. And now that it's here, it almost seems surreal, right? Because I envisioned myself using this space, but now I work in this space and help these business owners. And we moved into this building 2 months ago, and we've already helped 14 business owners.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we are working with 5 of them that are officially licensed in our commissary kitchen spaces. So the growth is fast. It's quick, right? And that's exactly what these people need, because sometimes when they don't have access to these resources, they get a little discouraged, right? Well, I want to start my business, but now I need help with my license. Well, now I need help with passing inspection. We do all of that within our organization, so I think that's what gives them the confidence to keep going.
And can you share a little bit, 14 businesses already taking advantage of this kind of, is this the demand you expected? Is this more than you expected?
Definitely more than I expected, especially within the time frame of 2 months. A lot of it's word of mouth. I think these people leave and see and feel the empowerment when they come in this building that they're ready to share it with everyone they meet, right? It definitely wasn't what I expected, but I run with it. I love it.
And can you talk a little bit about the range of the businesses? Kind of what are the types of businesses that are coming in and using this resource? Are they all new? Are they old? Kind of break it down for us.
That's my favorite part. A lot of these businesses are new. However, we have some that just come from different backgrounds. I have a couple businesses that I work with that at some point they were a brick and mortar location here in Wichita. Some of them have been out of business for 6+ years. Some of them started, failed, and that's what makes it special is because they decided to try again, and this time correctly, right? Making sure that they're being educated, making sure that it's more than just the craft of cooking, but learning the operational side of it, and that's what we help with. So it's neat. We have people who just came in with a business plan, an idea, so all sorts of backgrounds.
And obviously all kinds of backgrounds, which is beautiful to see, but specifically why Empower serves the Hispanic community, especially being on the north end. What would you like people to know when they think about Hispanic businesses? Because it plays a bigger role across the country than some people may realize. Can you dive into kind of how significant is it and why is it important that this is uplifting all of those businesses?
I think essentially, I think it's a cultural thing, and I think we all know that, right? Hispanics love to cook. It's just the natural born given talent that I say we're good at. So I think that's where they initially take that start because they know they can cook. But a lot of these businesses fail because of the operational side and the lack of education and knowledge in that area. So I think that's why the focus is in food businesses. Again, a lot of these businesses, they've either started from the bottom and used what they can. So it's different, again, having access to that real commercial equipment that they can use. And again, we want to make sure that we set them off, we start them well, right? Educate them, let them know what they're getting into, let them know what why they need these licenses so they stick around for the long run. We want to make sure that these businesses stay or they continue to exist, and that's how, with making sure that they're educated on how to properly operate a business.
And obviously this is huge for those business owners and people in the north end, but why should all of Wichita and just honestly everyone in Kansas care that this is growing in our community?
Essentially, these businesses are going to help the local economy. This is when it's going to keep those cultures alive, those traditions, those flavors, those those current businesses that started with nothing and that are so small. How do you keep them alive? A lot of the times people shop local, but they keep up with the trends and they forget that those original restaurants exist. So keeping them alive and continuing to offer those resources to them is what's going to keep them around for a while, and what's going to keep the culture of the North End alive as well.
If people see this and they're interested, they want to get involved, maybe they're willing to take that step or they're already on their business journey, kind of how do people sign up? How do they take advantage of this?
Essentially, just come on in. Again, we're located in the heart of the North End, right between Park Place and Market Street on 21st. We're open from 9 to 4. You can just stop on in. One of our team members will assist you. We can set up a consultation, a tour of the kitchen spaces, and then really just get started.
Is there a specific timeline for how long it takes when walking someone through, like you mentioned, the licensing process, and just so they really are set up for success?
Right. It really depends on where you are as a business owner, whether a lot of businesses come in already licensed and they already started the process. They really just need help kickstarting their business, right? Finding out about these events, finding out how to sell. So it really just depends on the phase you're in. But again, with us being open for 2 months, that kind of shows the timeline. Again, it really just depends on the work that you also put in as a business owner and how far you want to take it.
And what is the best way people can continue to support Empower and help Empower grow even beyond the growth you guys just achieved?
Right. In a lot of ways, really, but essentially on the focus with the food businesses, support our events. We create these events, these markets for these businesses to have the opportunity to sell, to have the opportunity to expose their product and for people to know who they are and what it is that they offer. But also, a lot of these business owners, again, they work out of our commissary kitchen spaces. So if you're needing a food caterer, a treat maker, or something for your personal needs with your events or your festivities, use our vendors. They're local businesses that you can find at the farmers markets or the local pop-ups here. But they do services outside of those markets. They offer catering services. So really, think local when it comes to needing catering services.
Are there any continued plans for future events, or what's the next goal for Empower?
So aside, and I wanted to share that part. Aside from the commissary kitchen spaces, we have what's called our demonstration kitchen, which is our front end kitchen. This is more of a flex space. It has a seating capacity for 34 people, so it can be used for many things. Whether it's a local business that we work with, or an organization who needs the space, or wants to host a meeting or a workshop, or they want to host something for the public. That's what that space is designed for. It also does have a walk-up window that ties to our outdoor patio seating, to where these business owners can actually host their own pop-up markets, which we try to do a good job of sharing that on social media for them. We're currently working on streamlining that area. But again, that space is designed for many things. So what we plan on doing is creating more markets for these businesses, but also helping them, giving them some kind of spotlight whenever they are deciding to make those pop-ups in our demonstration kitchen, so the public can be a part of that.
That's awesome. And when do they just reach out? Do they call? Do they pop in?
Both. They can reach out to us on social media, or they can pop in. There's really no direct way. We do have a link on our Facebook right now to schedule a consultation. It's not necessarily a business consultation, but for anything, right? If you're wanting to host an event, you're wanting to reserve the space, you're wanting to tour the space. We're getting a lot of tours right now. I do about 4 to 5 a day. So there's really no specific way to get a hold of us, but our offices are open to the public as well, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4.
And obviously, Empower holds a special part for you from starting your journey there and now taking on this role. Kind of, what do you want? Is there anything we haven't touched on that you feel is just really important for people to better understand the difference this really makes?
You don't necessarily have to be a business owner to use our resources. We also focus in other areas as well. And if it's not a service that we directly offer, we connect you. We find the resources. We used to be officed out of the Evergreen Library on 25th in Arkansas. It's essentially a resource center, right? If you're looking for a job, if you need DCF benefits, if you're looking for future education, English classes. I mean, there's so much that we do that we also want to let the people know that, again, it's not just focused on businesses. Again, with that key component with financial empowerment, we also create cohorts where it's an 8 to 12 week class. You participate. Our financial counselor guides you on how to set you up for success, how to help you save some funds in case of an emergency. So there's so many things that we do. So if you're just curious and you need a specific resource, just come on in. If it's not something we offer, again, we can direct you.
And do you have any words of encouragement, whether you mentioned it isn't just business owners that can take advantage of empowering these resources, but any words of encouragement for people who might just be afraid to reach out?
This is a safe space. It doesn't matter what part you're in. It doesn't matter where you're at, whether it's a business. And if it's an idea, we like to sit down with these people and just explore those ideas, because maybe it doesn't branch out to a business, but again, a job opportunity, right? Or an opportunity for them to start feeding that seed that they're planting on just that idea. They can use our space to test it out. They can use the kitchen spaces to test it out. So there's so many opportunities and routes. I think they just need to take that initial step and reach out.
And do you have a specific story that, minus your own,
Right.
that sticks out where kind of you realized the programs and resources that we have here are really paying off? They're working.
Yes, we have a couple people who were a part of this financial empowerment cohort. It's called Save, Match, Grow. Through that program, they realized that they had the capacity and the ability to save those funds to be able to then turn around and use that for their business. Because there's a lot of reasons why people get held back, whether it's the lack of financial support, whether it's the lack of knowledge, the experience, or sometimes confidence, right? But sitting across from someone who has that experience and knows that they have the resources to offer them, I think sets the tone. It gives them that little boost of confidence to step out and say, well, I think I'm ready. I have someone behind me that's willing to support me, whether I fail, whether I question myself, whether I start and I need a little bit of help. We're here for that. There's so many testimonies within our space that I've seen. I mean, someone, for example, she was actually, her name is Faith. She was on Good Day Kansas.
Oh, love it.
She came in, she had this idea. She was referred out from someone else who uses our spaces. We gave her a lot of information and she wanted to pay for the services. But again, these resources are free, right? And now she's licensed in our space. You could find her at the farmer's market and she's set it up. I mean, she's a business.
And just the shock you mentioned that Faith had of just, she wanted to pay for the services. Like, you're getting something that can be so valuable and honestly change lives. What kind of domino effect can you see, or can this really make? We've already seen it happen, but what do you expect its reach to really be when we look in maybe another year or two?
Well, we do have a second project coming up, right? Just a quick insider. It's the next step within this business concept. So I hope to see these businesses thrive. I hope to one day see them in a brick and mortar location, because if you really think about it, that's changing their lives as a whole, right? This becomes their full-time career, and that's the plan. Sometimes people have it in mind for it to be a side gig, but some people want this to be their full-time gig, and it takes a lot of failure trial runs. So with the continued support that we want to offer these businesses, we hope to see them again continue to thrive and one day in a location.
And obviously, Empower's there to support, but even with this new kitchen space, are you seeing the business owners even interact with them or kind of give each other like motivation while they're going through this journey?
Yes, and that's the beauty of it. So, and one thing I want to share, our commercial kitchen spaces are essentially, it's one large space, but they're incubator kitchens, they're kitchen bays. So it's 7 kitchens. So when people are using these kitchen spaces, they're using them at the same time as other business owners, which is neat because I've seen it firsthand where they collaborate, where they share ideas, where they help each other unload and load their stuff. We have people who don't have experience in these pop-up markets, so when the day comes, they're struggling. Other businesses jump in, they help them set up their tents, they teach them about their POS systems. So it starts to build community, and that's my favorite part.
And I was just about, you took the word out of my mouth, seeing that community come together. Why is that so important?
That's what keeps the people together, right? That's essentially what brings people back to this organization, because that's what we're about. Doesn't matter where you come from, you know, your background. I mean, it's such a diverse space as of now. We currently have a lot of Hispanic businesses. We also have Faith from Kenya. We have a Colombian family. So it just creates community. That's really what we're about when we host these events, is to bring out the community, to bring out the people who live in this area who maybe don't come out much, right? Because they don't have much to do, or they just don't like to drive out far. We have people who walk to our events. It's such a unique thing to see.
It is just, literally, we could talk about this all day and all the success stories. Again, can you share how people, share the address, where can people find Empower and get involved?
Yes. So again, we're located at 21st and Market. It's 103 East 21st Street North. You can find us on Facebook at Empower, Facebook and Instagram, or you can just pop into our location. We are open to the public from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Awesome. And we will share all these details. People can take advantage, and we'll be on the lookout for the next event.
Awesome.
All right.
Can't wait.
Thank you so much, Sally, and thank you for watching.